to an extended family reunion at the park. And when I showed up, there was an aunt who I hadn't seen in a really long time. And she ran up to me and gave me a huge hug and put her hands on my shoulders. And then she said, I am so sorry that I did not make it to your French horn recital. And I was like, that is okay, because I don't play the French horn. And she went, You don't play the French horn? I missed your French horn recital. And I said, no, you're thinking of the red-headed nieces and nephews you have. Those are the musically talented ones. The blonde ones all got into mediocre colleges and cry a lot. And then I walked up to my cousin's new wife, who was just sitting there all defenseless with no buffer or anything. And for some reason, I said, we're so glad you're in the family now. We're hoping you help even out some of the crazy. And she said, oh no, I don't think this family's crazy at all. But then, of course, by the end of the night, one of the cousins started screaming at one of the aunts, and it turned into this whole huge fight. The aunt she was screaming with wasn't her mother, and she went and she was like, I don't have to take this. And she got in her car to try to leave, and then aunt was blocking the car and put her hands on the windshield and was like, you can't leave. And then cousins like backing, she's like trying to wiggle the car out without killing said aunt, and then she escapes, and aunt jumps into her car to do a car chase and chase the cousin because she had decided the fight wasn't over. And I was still sitting next to my cousin's wife when this happened, so she leaned over to me and she said, maybe your family's just like a tiny bit crazy. And then I decided to get into my car to leave, and everybody said, oh, leaving so soon? And I was like, I checked all the boxes for coming to a family reunion. I got free food, check. I got a free show, check. I disappointed the family by not being a music prodigy.
Story time about how I tried to stick up for this kid on the bus, but it got me suspended. So a little background information, I was 12 and in 7th grade. So it was a Wednesday, and when school ended, I got on the afternoon bus. And there was this boy named Josh that I was friends with. So I went and I sat next to him on the bus. After like 5 minutes of us waiting for the bus driver to get back on the bus, this boy named Kai that everybody loves for some reason comes over and rips me out of the seat. After that, he sits down next to Josh and starts punching him and screaming at him. So I grab this kid by his book bag, rip him out of the seat, and I sit next to Josh. I put my headphones in, plug in my phone, and this kid grabs the phone, throws it at the front of the bus. And there weren't any adults on the bus at this time because our bus driver was using the bathroom. And I didn't go up and get my phone because I knew that if I moved, this kid was probably going to hurt Josh again. So then this kid starts trying to punch me. So I punch him in the stomach. An adult comes on the bus, finally, like for part 2. Part 2 about how I got suspended for trying to stick up for some kid on the bus. So like I said, this kid is starting to try to punch me. So I punch him in the stomach. Finally, an adult gets on the bus. She yells at us to all sit down. And by the way, all the 12-year-olds had their phones out recording what was happening. So they look at the cameras, they were interviewing some of the kids, and Josh's sister comes up to me, and I was like, oh, hopefully she's not going to yell at me. I don't know why she would, but still. She was like, hey, I just wanted to say thank you for sticking up for my brother. So then after a little bit, I hear my name get called on the speaker. Kai, Josh, and I were all called down to the office. All of our parents were there. Kai got a 3-day suspension, and I got a 3-week suspension. Even though I literally had scratches all over my freaking arms, and Kai didn't even have a bruise on him. Well, my mom she told the school that if they went through with my suspension, she would call the news and tell them that my school was letting kids get away with bullying.
My mom found out I had a hickey story time. Let me start out by saying that was back in the day when your girl was with the whole Tivity. Now I'm a changed woman. My man came to visit me from Colorado, so we was trying to make up for the lost time. And you know when you're young and the hormones just start going everywhere? So he left me a hickey on my neck. To make matters worse, it was the Lord's Day on a Sunday. So since I was rushing to get ready to go to church, instead of rubbing it off with some ice, I decided to cover it with a scarf in the middle of the summer. I for real thought they wouldn't notice, you know? So we went out to eat. Your girl was feeling a little bit hot, so I loosened it up. Stink! I turned around for a second. I don't know where my mother got radiation eyesight, but she saw it, and she was like so far away too. She gave me that look of death. She was like, ¿Por qué? That's probably why I got whiplash, and then I got grounded.
I saw a TikTok recently, and it was somebody saying that the best kind of insults are the ones that don't come off as an insult right away. They kind of take a minute to get, and then they stick in your brain for a long time. And I deal with getting insults on TikTok a lot, all the time. It's fine. Like, I don't care. They go right over my head. But last year, 1 year ago, I sent my friend Nicole and her family a Christmas card, okay? And I don't half-ass my Christmas cards. I'm not like, Merry Christmas. I like do a full Storytime life update, and it was a very well-written card, and they'd moved to a new address, so I was worried she didn't get it. And when we were talking on the phone in January, I said, oh, did you get that Christmas card? I was worried I sent it to your old address. And she said, yeah, I got it. It was so funny. I was laughing out loud while I was reading it, so my husband asked to read it, and then he took the card and he read it. And after he read it, he handed it back to me and said, Kate is objectively very funny. And I was like, cool. But on the inside, I kept thinking, objectively? I've been friends with him for 10 years. And I always tell my friends, if you don't like my sense of humor, that's fine. If you don't like my TikToks, that's fine. I'm not going to be offended. Humor is objective. It's totally cool. But normally what happens is people say they like this, they say they think I'm funny, or they don't. Nobody's ever said you're objectively funny, which isn't shade, but it feels like shade. Doesn't it feel like shade? But it's not. I'm pretty sure it's been a whole year, and I'll just be randomly brushing my teeth and be like, objectively, what does he mean objectively funny? I feel like what he did was, what happens is sometimes my friend will show me a guy they like, and they'll say, isn't he cute? And I will say, oh, well, I personally am not attracted to him, but I could see why other people would be. And that's what he did with me. I think he basically said, well, she's not for me, but I can see why people think she's funny. Is that what he did? But I just keep imagining it in other settings. Like, imagine going to someone's art show, and instead of saying you're a good artist, you say you're objectively a good artist. Or if a friend bakes you cookies, instead of saying you're good at baking cookies, you say you're objectively good at baking cookies. Like, and it wasn't like he was defending me either. It wasn't as if people were saying Kate's not funny, and he said, oh, well, I don't think she's funny either, but objectively, if you look at the formula she uses for her jokes and her overall comedic technique, she is objectively funny. Like, that wasn't the scenario either. He just threw it objectively, and I'm so confused.
Ain't nobody ever come to my hood and steal from me. I don't know if it's because they see my house and they're like, yo, it was broke down. They can't afford to buy anything nice. Till 2 weeks ago, Christmas time, we were robbed. And why it had to be the day that I bought something that I desperately needed? They also stole my man's gift that his family sent him. And you know, my bootleg cameras weren't even working when we needed them. But I still have a sense of joy that when they opened up my package, they thought it was going to be something nice. Boom! It's actually probiotics. Now they out there looking mad confused. That's what you get. Hashtag IBS problems. Story time. So I just saw this van that brought back all the traumatic memories. Back in the day, we had a van that looked like this. Honestly, this one looks better than the one we had. Like, we had to use a wrench just to open the door. And AC, that was non-existent. And every time you would hit a pothole, it would be like a low rider. It would just jump up. So we would be in the back praying for potholes, like, yay, we're in a roller coaster. So anyways, one day we're going on our way to church, and all we hear is a rah, rah, and there's smoke coming out. My dad's a mechanic, so he's like, oh, the van is just overheating. It's okay, guys. He makes all of us walk from the highway to the gas station in our church clothes to go get gallons of water so we can pour it on top of the van. That mug said evaporation condensation. It kept happening every month, but my dad did not want to get rid of it for like 2 more years.